pardon me, Mr. Brian Phillips. He will be followed by Mr. Kerry Wentz.
Advocates of historic preservation have argued that we must protect our heritage. I completely concur with them on this matter. However, I do not believe that our heritage consists of buildings, but of principles. Our heritage does not consist of particular architectural style, but of certain ideas. People do not come to America nor to Houston because of our architecture or the number of old buildings we have. Eastern Europe is full of old buildings, but people have risked their lives to leave those buildings behind. America's heritage, and Houston's as well, is one of freedom. Freedom means the right to pursue one's values without the intervention of others, so long as you respect the mutual rights of others. This is why people come to America, and this is our true heritage. The ordinance you are considering is a direct assault on this heritage. It is destructive to freedom and an attack on the rights of every Houstonian. If you truly wish to preserve our heritage, you must begin by recognizing that our heritage does not consist of concrete, lumber, and glass, but of the ideas which give individuals the freedom to use these materials in the pursuit of their values. 100 years ago, people said that skyscrapers couldn't be built. But because individuals lived in a society which recognized their rights, Louis Sullivan and his colleagues were able to act on their own judgment and prove the world wrong. This is our true heritage. Do not destroy it by protecting some old buildings. Thank you.
Excuse me. Would it be your position that buildings like Mount Vernon, Monticello, Sam Houston's home up in Huntsville, you would find that those buildings would be of no significance?
They are of great significance.
So you don't have a problem leveling those? I mean, your argument is that buildings have no significance, it's only principles. But sometimes buildings can remind us of certain principles and values that we've had, and it also is a great teaching aid. I mean, people often forget the teaching aid of historical museums and other foundations. Would you also say that museums are of no value since it seems like you're saying only the abstract principle is of any value?
No, that is not what I mean to say.
Your argument is that then there would be some buildings of historic value?
Oh, yes, and I am not arguing against historic preservation as long as it is completely voluntary. I don't think that the ordinance you are considering is really any of your business. I think the owners of the property should be allowed to use their property as they choose.
So the Monticello, the Mount Vernon, and the Sam Houston's home, had the owners desired, you'd have no problem with them leveling those?
I would have a problem, but it would be the owner's right to do that. Part of living in a free society is permitting people to do things with which we may or may not agree. I'm not always going to agree with what people do, but as long as they are not forcing their values upon me, making me act in a manner that I don't choose to act, or prohibiting me from acting in a manner that I choose to act, then I really have no position to stop them.
It would appear that every law in the books, though, is some value statement making somebody else live according to some principles that they may or may not agree with. Would you agree with that? I mean, you don't get to voluntarily comply with, say, the homicide rule, or...
But homicide is using force against another individual by killing them. You are depriving them of their life without their consent.
I guess then we'll go to the vice laws. What about prostitution, drugs?
Well, now we're way off the subject, but I would argue that those laws are not appropriate.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
I have a question. Hello, sir.
And if Mr. John Kelly wishes to pursue this meaningful conversation.
I'll just like to make a point. Would you agree with the group that is for the 90-day cooling off period?
No, I do not. In principle, that is a violation of the owner's property rights. For 90 days, you are saying he cannot use his property as he chooses. And there's nothing to stop this council or another council in the future from making that 180 days or 360 days, or saying, well, we're not able to convince the owners to do what we want. We're not able to get them to see the light and preserve their property. Therefore, we're going to put a moratorium on all demolition of all historic buildings. In principle, you are saying that you have the right to tell property owners how they can use their property. And not only is that wrong, it's immoral.
Well, I don't have any idea what they'll be doing 100 years from now on council, how many days that they'll have. But been a lot of people that have, had a lot of work about this and they have the same ideas that you do, and the other side has some ideas, and they've worked awful hard to try to come to some type of conclusion. And I just thought that so if you were on the bargaining table, then you wouldn't give an inch to try to get the arbitration worked out.
I'm sorry, could I
If
hear?
you were at the bargaining table, you wouldn't give an inch to get the arbitration worked out then.
I would not compromise in principles. So the answer would be no.
So maybe we'd never have baseball again, or?
Well, I don't think that's really
Okay, thank you.
relevant to this.
Baseball and prostitution. Let me recess while I work this out in my mind.